I'm here in Ankara, Turkey at the MKE manufacturing facilities, and joining me is Mike from Zenith Firearms. How you doing, Mike?
Doing great, Tim, thanks.
So, Mike, can you tell me the relationship between Zenith Firearms and MKE, who is a defense contractor that manufactures firearms for the Turkish military?
Yeah, sure. MKE is an incredibly old company. They can trace their lineage literally back to 1453, making mortars and cannons for the Sultan and the Ottoman Empire. They have kept that line going and can trace their whole history up to today, and where they still make firearms for the Turkish military and for export. Our boss, Peter Kaya, the CEO, has a long-standing relationship with Turkey. He's from Turkey. He's been an American citizen now for over 10 years, and he was importing, and he started importing ammunition about a year and a half ago when the market started needing more ammunition. Well, that licensing that we had for importing the ammunition naturally turned to firearms. He reached out to some of his friends in Turkey, made some connections, and he was able to foster a relationship with MKE to bring these firearms.
It's important to note the ammunition that you're talking about is ZQI ammunition, which has become quite popular on the U.S. market.
Yeah, we started about a year and a half ago with that. We got a contract with Walmart, and that really helped us tremendously, and we're selling that now in the States.
Now we're going to start seeing that evolve into the importation of what we're calling the Z-Series firearms. Now MKE is not new to the U.S. market. The guns have appeared before in the past, but there's some differences. You guys are doing things differently.
Yeah, in 2009 they were importing under the T-Series. Well, in 2014 we went to the SHOT Show with plans of bringing these into the country. So that was kind of like our research trip to the SHOT Show. We brought in some models, the older models, and we spoke to all the aficionados that were coming by the booth, and we started hearing things that they wanted different. And there were things we wanted different too. We wanted to go back more to the authentic firearms that they were and go away from some of the modifications that were made in 2009. For instance, in 2009 they came in with a shelf. People refer to it as the shelf. We went back to a 2-pin series. So you can see on every one of these are true two pins. I've read the blogs for the past year, and people are speculating, oh, that's fake. No, that's the real pin. You can push them both out. Comes apart the same way. That's what's holding the gun together.
So what Mike's talking about is, in the past, for import reasons, it would seem, previous firearms would have a shelf here and no pin. They would fake the pin.
That's right.
And it would look like a pin was present, but it wasn't. So now you have the actual 2-pin system, so you can pop the pin out here, or you can pop the pin out here, and the whole lower mechanism will just hinge down, so you can field strip the rifle in true military fashion. Some changes were made to prevent the firearm from accepting machine gun parts. So while we have the pin, there's some changes had to be made so you couldn't just readily drop in a full auto bolt carrier, full auto trigger group, and make a machine gun.
Right, so we still have the block in here that prevents that. We moved the full auto bolt block from the front of the gun to the rear of the gun, so it's still there. We made some other changes as well, getting feedback from folks. So that's all of these are original military profile barrels. Back in 2009 they had some sort of a heavier American sporterized barrel that had a thicker profile, so you couldn't put on some of the stocks. These have the back to the original profile of the barrels.
Which is this tapering system here, right? So the older barrels would have been a constant or consistent thickness, diameter, almost looked like a heavy barrel.
That's right.
Right?
All the way back too.
All the way back, which would prevent you from putting on what we know as the A3 handguard. So you've tapered the barrels, given it a true military profile, and of course they can accept standard muzzle devices for this rifle type.
It's a 1x15 right-hand metric thread, which goes back to the original design. That's what that is. So all the accessories and original parts from any third-party manufacturer will fit onto this. And that goes for the rest of the gun as well. One of the reasons we went back to the 2-pin system is, what if you wanted to change out your lower? Now you can. Same thing goes for the stocks. This will accept stocks from all authentic roller lock styles. We are bringing it in with the A3 handguards. The pistols we're going to bring in with the slimline handguards, but the rifles we'll be bringing in with the A3.
So it's also important to note that these rifles are pre-production samples. There are going to be some minor tweaks and changes, as you're mentioning, like the A3 handguards have now been decided to be used on the import guns.
That's correct.
So some things are going to change, but basically all the features we're talking about are going to make it into the final firearm. Now, one thing I wanted to point out as well, while we're talking about you had relocated the block and the receiver, if somebody should happen to have an auto-sear, registered auto-sear, and they did want to convert this into a machine gun legally, from moving that block from the forward position in the receiver, which is almost impossible to get to, would probably require the services of a gunsmith. You've moved it to the rear, making it easier to remove for those people that do want to do a legal conversion.
That's exactly right. And the same thing goes for the, that's correct. We also inserted a pin. You may recall there was 2 heavy pieces of steel welded in this magazine well earlier. Now we have a pin here. So the conversion, the legal conversion, would be easier. In fact, right now we are contemplating whether or not we're going to bring them into the country in a sporterized version and convert them to 922R before we sell them all, or rather we let them be sold on the market as sporterized and people can convert them. And we actually did a poll on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and we're getting resounding feedback that the Americans want them, they want us to convert them in our custom shop before we even sell them.
Isn't social media a wonderful thing?
Amazing. It really
So,
is.
for those of you that aren't quite familiar with 922R laws, to bring a firearm such as this into the United States, it has to meet certain requirements, pretty strict requirements, by the U.S. government before it can be allowed to be imported. For example, it cannot accept a 30-round magazine. It has to be blocked to only accept a 10-round magazine. A magazine such as this has a slit cut in the side of it, and what Mike was talking about is a small pin that's included in the receiver of this rifle. It's just a nub, which can easily be ground off once you have the right number of U.S. parts.
That's correct.
To accept a standard magazine. Previous imports of MKE Firearms had a much more difficult method of making that block.
That's right.
That would prevent a guy at home from buying the U.S. parts and doing the conversion himself.
That's right. I heard loud and clear that people wanted these guns as authentic as possible, and
Right.
that's what we strove for.
And I am a gun collector. I love military firearms, and that's what's interested me the most about the Z series firearms that we have in front of us. These things are exact copies, or as exact as they can be to meet U.S. laws of any of the firearms I've seen on the market of this type. The finish is a beautiful finish. Tell us about the finish of the firearms.
It's all authentic. All of these firearms, well, let me back up a little bit, okay?
Sure.
So MKE has been manufacturing these firearms under license over 40 years ago. They've been making them for the Turkish Military, armed forces, and exporting them as well. Now, to this day, although all that's expired, they're still manufacturing these same firearms. These are the same exact firearms that their military and police use, and the same exact firearms that they export now to other militaries. For our country, of course, we have to sporterize them, which we've done, so we've complied with the law there.
Right.
But the point is they're authentic. Even the 5.56 version, what we're calling the Z, we changed the line from T to Z for Zenith.
Zenith, yes.
The Z43 actually has the same military finish that's done before they put the paint on the gun. So this has got the nitrous carbonization done before, because that's what the military required.
I was eager to tour the factory where the firearms were being produced. Up until this point, I had never seen roller-locked firearms being made. Of course, the roller-lock delayed blowback system employed by the Z series of firearms is well known, but it's also somewhat unique in that not many modern firearms use this particular system of operation. Another notable feature of the Z series of firearms is the use of sheet metal stampings for the construction of most of the major components, including the receiver.
So what we see taking place here is one of the many steps in the formation of a Z5 receiver.
Stampings allow for fast, precise production of what would otherwise be complex parts to machine from forgings.
In this area, all sorts of things are injection molded, everything from handguards to 20-round magazines.
Every part in the Z family of firearms is manufactured on-site in Turkey at MKE's plant. Original technical drawings and tooling that was obtained under license is also used for the production of semi-auto rifles being imported by Zenith. We have 7 firearms here on the table. You guys are looking to bring these in fairly quick order, so that's really ambitious. I mean, companies are excited to introduce a single firearm to the U.S. market. You guys are going to bring in 7 different firearms fairly quickly into the U.S. So can we quickly talk about what you plan on bringing in first, and you know, what's it going to involve to? What are we going to see right away? What are we looking at down the road? How you guys plan on introducing these firearms?
Yes. So the Z series, these are the same firearms that MKE has been making, so it was really easy for us. And as you know, when you start at a 9mm and then you go to 5.56 and 7.62, there's a lot of interchangeable parts between these guns, and there is a lot of a great learning curve, because you can start on the 9mm and move up to a 5.56 and move up to a 7.62. So it's a fantastic series itself. So starting off, we've got a K pistol. That's the smallest one. This is the K, for German K, Kurz, short.
Right.
So this is our starting line. We have the very flat front end pistol. It'll come with a 30-round magazine. It's got the 2 pins in the back, so it will receive any accessories such as a folding stock if you do it legally by form wanting it. So that's the K. The next thing we did was we stepped up and we called this the P. For pistol, we put the navy barrel end on it. This has got a 1/2 by 28 threaded front end, so that if someone has a suppressor and legally wants to attach it to the pistol, they've got 2 methods to do it. One is the threads, and the other is the 3-lug system. Of course, this is the same 3-lug system with the same measurements. The suppressor would fit right over that, as would the accessory flash hider or muzzle brake that you wanted to put on. So that's the only change from this to the K. The P includes the little bit longer front end. The Z5 itself is what we're calling this rifle. This will be a rifle import. Again, everything is kept the same, but we had to put a 16.15-inch barrel, is what we ended up with, with the same end on it as well, with the threads and with the 3 lugs.
I have to say, this is a neat addition. I really think this is neat because I like to suppress everything. For some states that don't allow SBRs, this gives you the option of, some states don't allow SBRs, but they allow suppressors. I mean, this really gives you a lot of flexibility. It's kind of a neat addition.
This is a tack driver.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, we were out shooting it. I couldn't believe how far away I was hitting rocks with that thing.
From there, we wanted to bring pistols in first. So the 2 pistols and this 3rd pistol will be coming in first. This pistol is a 5.56 caliber pistol. We specifically cut this barrel down to 12.8 inches, which, working with our engineers, they say that is a flawless length for this gun. So we went to 12.8 inches with it. Obviously, if someone wanted to legally convert this to an SBR, let me tell you, I've shot this with a stock on it, as you have.
Yes.
And this thing with a stock on it is like perfection.
It's neat. It's a very handy length.
It is a great gun. So you can see this is just the pistol configuration, because it's a pistol. It'll have a 30-round magazine, and it is ready to take any other part that you wanted to legally put on.
Let me point out one thing that's different. There are some modifications that the Turks have made to the basic design, such as this larger charging handle. And at first, when I saw this at SHOT Show, and I thought that was quite interesting, but what's really neat about that is it allows you to get quite a bit more leverage on the gun and operate it than the previous charging handles you might be accustomed to using. I mean, I really kind of like that. Another thing that I've noticed that's true throughout the series of firearms, the pistols and the rifles, is it's a true military diopter rear sight. I've seen some sights that are common on some US-made clones that have the windage knob on the side and stuff like that. These are the true military diopter sights, which require sight tool.
The reason is we wanted to keep things as rugged as possible. My background, where I come from, is I don't want it to break. I want this thing to be smooth, streamlined, and fun. And that's what we went with it. So if you notice on the reverse side of this, we have the sling straps, and every gun will come with a sling. This larger charging handle is what we'll be going with on all those blouses as well.
And also the flapper release I see present on all of the Z series as well.
We kept the flapper release, and here you'll see on the Z5 we also have the 3-point sling loop right there.
For the traditional sling.
Exactly.
And when we say flapper, let me show the guys what a flapper is. For those of you that aren't familiar with these types of firearms, typically you have a button right here, but this is considered an add-on in many cases in the past, but the flapper gives you the ability to pinch with your thumb and pull the magazine out of the gun like that. So it's nice to have that addition.
It is, and we skipped one 9mm and all the fun we're having here. Can you hand me that?
Oh yeah, oh how can we forget this little guy?
Is probably my favorite. This is what we're calling this is the reverse stretch. Now we know a lot of folks have told us already this is not a reverse stretch. A reverse stretch would have a longer end on on the K model. But in talking to our engineers, that was advised against making that. So we called it here. We wanted to bring this in, though, because we wanted for people to be able to legally turn this into an SBR, which you can by getting your proper paperwork, removing this end cap, putting on the
putting on this stock.
And basically what you have is what's known in the world as probably one of the best submachine guns ever created.
Yeah.
Same front end with the half by 28, the 3 lugs, and you'll also see the connection point for the 3-point sling. This is a wonderful, wonderful gun to shoot as well. Going back to the 5.56, what we have here is our Z43. This is the 5.56 rifle. It is 16.15 inch barrel. It has the threaded front end as well. The 1x15 right-hand metric, and all the other parts on it are, as you can see, as original as you get.
Now, one thing you guys may notice in us handling the firearms here, the muzzle devices, these are muzzle brakes for import reasons.
Right.
They will accept a standard flash suppressor as well.
That's correct.
The thread pitch is the same, has the notches on the barrel for the clip that holds them in place. All that stuff is present, so standard accessories will work with pretty much every aspect of these firearms.
That's correct. And then lastly, in this family is the Z41, which is a 7.62. Again, everything else that we've talked about is the same on this. All the parts. Here you'll see this is a prototype, and this is we were trying out the smaller charging handle, but we do like the larger charging handle too. When you go to grab that, you can really, here people's hands can slip off of it.
Yeah.
When you grab that larger one, you're in good shape.
I definitely think the larger charging handle is a good improvement.
And you notice that this is a different stock on this because this has got the 2 lower pins here for the strength needed for the 308 or the 7.62.
And talking about the magazines for import, I've noticed that the Turkish military uses a transparent polymer magazine. Now this one again has the cuts here on the side for the 922R non-compliant version that's required for import, but the plans are perhaps to go ahead and 922R these so they'll accept standard 20-round magazines.
That's correct.
And they are compatible at that point with the standard aluminum and steel magazines that are currently on the market.
That's correct.
But you guys plan on also bringing in some of the Turkish polymers, is that true?
We are. Every single part needed for these guns for repair, even from the 3 different size rollers, we'll be importing. So the magazines, here's your standard 30-round 5.56. You know, I don't know if you've never noticed this. This is a pretty neat thing that they do. Have you seen those 2 lines on there?
Yeah.
That's for shooting at helicopters and shooting at planes.
So it's elevation marking?
It's an elevation marking because this is the military magazine
Sure.
that we use.
Never seen that.
We're going to bring in the magazines as well as all the parts.
And the magazines clip together,
Yes.
so you can lock them together, which is kind of a neat feature.
And the 30-round mag,
Oh, yes.
take a look at it. I mean, this is just a beautiful, heavy-duty. And when I say military, what I mean is this is built in the military specs, so it is strong. This is
Right.
not commercial grade. This is
Right.
military grade.
Yep.
And as you know, there's a difference between commercial grade and military grade.
Absolutely there is. A lot of the stuff that these guns are going to come with that don't typically ship with other firearms,
Right.
what's coming in the box?
Yeah, we stepped it up. We did. So every gun comes with a rugged, hard carrying case that's better than those very thin plastic or worse cardboard cases. This will come in a rugged, hard carrying case with a rubberized interior holding all your parts. So you get your firearm. Every firearm will come with a Picatinny style rail mounted to the gun that you can take off if you don't want to use it, but if you want to use it, you're ready to go. And that's a smaller one for the smaller 9mm. You'll also get 3 magazines with each gun. You'll get a sling with each gun. You'll get a small cleaning kit with each gun. You'll get 2 extra takedown pins
Nice.
if you want to, if you lose one. You'll also have the manual and a 5-year warranty that'll come with each gun. In that case, you're gonna like that case. It's a pretty good case. You don't have to throw away your other case. You'll use this to take it to the
It's
range.
not the one you go, garbage, and you go
Yeah.
buy another case.
No.
This is a case you're going to be able to keep your firearm in and actually want to take it to the range and shoot out.
Right. It's not the heaviest duty, case that you can buy.
Sure.
Like Pelican cases or anything like that, but it is definitely much better than what you would normally do.
While in Turkey, I was able to tour both Istanbul and Ankara, the nation's capital. I wasn't sure what to expect when arriving in Istanbul, as I'd never visited Turkey before. What I found was a very modern, progressive society that is extremely European in flavor. With a population of over 14 million people, Istanbul is easily one of the most populous cities I've ever visited and is one of the largest in Europe. As with many European countries, bits and pieces of home could be found everywhere, including major US franchises such as McDonald's, Starbucks, and Burger King. It's almost disappointing to see such vestiges of home in every nook and cranny of the world, but it's also somewhat comforting. To get a better view of Istanbul, we took a helicopter flight around the city. From the air, it's absolutely astounding to see how massive the city really is. It's also interesting to note that Istanbul spans 2 continents and is divided by the Bosphorus Strait. On one side of the city lies Europe, and on the other side, Asia.
What do you say now we debut number 8?
Yes. let's do
Okay.
it.
I'll give you the honor.
Oh,
Try to
no.
get out of the way.
Be yours. So here you have the Bora 12. This is the Turkish military sniper rifle. It is a wonderful, wonderful hunting rifle. It is absolutely beautiful in 7.62. It is very customized for long-range shooting. You can adjust the length of pull, you can adjust the trigger and the pistol grip forward and back, you can adjust the pressure on the trigger, the cheek weld, everything on this thing is made to customize for yourself. It's got a free-floating barrel, comes with the muzzle brake, comes with the Picatinny rails. It does not come optics supplied, it comes optics
Okay.
ready.
Okay.
And we had this on the range, you witnessed it yourself.
I
this
did.
thing shot 1,000 yards, less than 8 3/4 inch group.
Yep.
So for all you know out there, that's less than a minute of angle.
Yep.
And that was a breezy day too.
And it was also done with factory ammunition. We were using Lapua
Lapua, yep.
ammunition, and I witnessed it myself. It was actually done, and the conditions were less than ideal.
Less than ideal.
It was a windy day, and the wind was shifting all over the place. So I was really impressed with the accuracy of the gun. I did have a chance to shoot it. I wish I could say I shot that group. I didn't, but I did have a chance to shoot the rifle. Very smooth. I like the trigger. I like the adjustable features of the stock. I mean, you know, it's definitely a noteworthy bolt-action long-range rifle.
MKE, with its 10 modern factories, produces very wide range of products. We have 4 main product groups: rocket systems, weapons, ammunitions, explosives, and pyrotechnics. And with all this said, these productions are made according to the NATO specs, as Turkey is a NATO country. MKE was officially founded in 1950, but the history of MKE does not start from there. In 1453, the Ottoman Empire was trying to conquer Istanbul, and in the scope of these preparations, the artillery corps and cannon production facilities are established. And that's where the Turkish national defense industry was started. And then, under various names, the legacy, the machinery, and the experience was transferred from the former entity to the next. And MKE is the latest of these. There is an organic tie between all these corporations from the Ottoman times, from 1453 and to the 21st century.
Turks, like many countries, including the United States, have purchased firearms from other governments or other countries and also licensed the technology to manufacture firearms from those other countries. But here in the museum, we've seen a lot of different firearms that they've brought into the country and either issued or used in testing to help them come up with their own weapons designs. Everything from AK-47s to G3s to Enfield rifles, SVT-40s. It's just a wide variety of different firearms that we find here that, again, have influenced their own weapons designs.
One of the more interesting firearms that they manufacture here at MKE is the MG3 belt-fed machine gun. The reason it's interesting to me is because it is based on the World War II era MG42. This one is chambered in 7.62 NATO, and it fires at about the same cyclic rate as the original MG42. We did have the opportunity to shoot this weapon while we're here in Turkey, but what I thought was interesting is the fact that, of course, they manufacture it here, and a number of the world's militaries still use this firearm despite the fact it was designed in the 1930s and ultimately being fielded as the MG42 in the early 40s. Up here on this board, you can see that they manufacture every single small part to this light machine gun. I know there's a number of World War II era MG42 collectors in the United States that would absolutely kill to get their hands on some of these parts because those guns obviously are becoming quite worn. Shooting one of the newer models, as we had the opportunity to do, was really a special treat, and I had a great time doing it. The Turkish military primarily uses the G3 rifle, which you see here on the top. Now, if you take a close look at this rifle, obviously you're going to see some very common themes here. This rifle was actually built on HK licensed machines. We've actually seen some of the tooling here at the factory that has the German markings on it. But this is the current military rifle used by the Turkish Army. Right below it, we have the HK33, which is the 5.56 counterpart. And below that, we have the MP5 and the MP5K. We've seen a lot of MP5s being used by the Turkish police around town. We haven't had the opportunity to see any Turkish military folks running around with their rifles, but we had, like I said, seen the Turkish police with the MP5. MKE has a history of manufacturing sporting firearms for the civilian market. One of the more interesting pieces that I've seen here at the museum is this T41 Sporter. You'll notice that it is semi-automatic. It only has safe and fire modes, but what I found particularly interesting was this very ornate wrist-style stock on the rifle. It also has an engraving of a waterfowl scene, which I thought was interesting to say the least, but the relief work is really nice all the way out to the wooden fore-end grip. You'll notice it has a heavier barrel and no muzzle device. Turkey continues to use the 7.62 NATO cartridge as their standard cartridge for their service rifle, despite the fact that the rest of NATO has gone to 5.56. This is their standard infantry rifle, the G3A4, which is currently in use, but they plan to replace this rifle in service very soon, and interestingly, they plan to continue using the 7.62 NATO. When MKE obtained the license to manufacture the G3 rifle for their military services, they also obtained the rights to manufacture the HK33, which you see here. Now, the HK33 is not necessarily used by the Turkish military. I've been told it's been used in small special forces units, but it's not the primary issue rifle. For over 50 years, they've used the G3, but they also manufacture this rifle for export. You got some other plans in the future.
We do. We've got some great plans for 2016. This is 2015. We have another rifle, number 9, that you can bring up and put over here. That you'll notice by the selector, there's no way we're bringing this in right now.
Oh, I wish we could. I'd love to see this.
Of the MPT 7.6, which is the new Turkish Infantry and Armed Forces battle rifle.
Right.
This is a 7.62. But it doesn't quite feel like a 7.62 when you shoot it.
No, this thing is very controllable. When we went out to the firing range, I could not wait to get my hands on this. Of course, being a military rifle buff, when I hear that a military is about ready to adopt a new service rifle, and then having the opportunity to shoot it and play with it, I jumped at that opportunity, and I was very quick to flip that happy switch to full auto, and I was really surprised at how controllable it was with M80 ball. We were shooting, standard MKE ball ammunition out of it and doing mag dumps. It was really controllable. There are some design cues here, I think, that are very familiar. Obviously, it's based on the AR-10 type platform, but there's also quite a few modifications that have been made. And as you're making adjustments here, of course, the stock is adjustable for length of pull, far more so than I've ever seen before. I mean, you can really make that stock quite lengthy.
12 adjustments on this that are all very tight lock. A little vertical foregrip that slides the whole way. Handle can obviously come off very easily. Full length Picatinny rail so that you can put plenty of equipment on it. Removable front bipod. Right now, the magazine the course right now in the configuration it is wouldn't work. But so we will work on that towards 2016.
Right.
But that's one of our goals for 2016. We have a couple other little secret Skunk Works things going on right now too that we can't talk about. But
Sure.
So 2015 you see, 2016 hopefully the beginning, and some more.
So for the next 2 years, I have a lot to look forward to.
Yes.
I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you, Mike, for
You're very
explaining the product line to us. I really look forward to seeing the Z series showing up here. And of course, I am looking forward to 2016, the MPT, and also seeing the bore on the U.S. market.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tim.
Thank
Thanks
you
so much.
I hope you guys enjoyed taking a look behind the scenes of MKE in Turkey. I truly am excited to see the reintroduction of MKE Firearms to the US market, and I'm definitely looking forward to the introduction of new products from MKE, such as the MPT and Bora rifles. I feel privileged to have had the opportunity to experience Turkey in cities like Istanbul and Ankara, not to mention being able to shoot firearms in the Turkish countryside. That certainly was a highlight of my trip. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and until next time.